What is up, my people of YouTube? This is Hidden Angel Lionheart coming to you live with another deck profile video, and I'm proudly able to show you guys I'm going to be doing a cubic deck profile. Yes, you heard me right. I said cubics. The dark side of dimensions with Igami, YuGiOh, the big bad cubic lords of destruction. Yeah. Alright, so I've actually been pretty interested in wanting to make a deck profile on this video for this deck profile actually. Wow, I said that backwards. Then again, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning and it's like thunderstorming outside, if you guys can kind of hear. Anyway, anywho, yes, I managed to pick this deck up about like a week or two ago, and I was able to get the last two that a fellow was selling on Amazon, to where I was able to get two cores to where I had the copies of everything, and I'm kind of missing a few secret rares to some of the cards which are coming in the mail, which I am kind of sad though about, because I was wanting to have like a full secret rare set of certain ones. But anyway, extra deck, main deck, and side deck. So we're going to be covering all of that, and I'm going to be covering this deck for you guys. And as I said, this deck is actually really interesting because this deck is meant to OTK, one turn kill your opponents, and therefore I'm going to be explaining to you guys about how this deck works, how it's supposed to be played, and to be honest, I'm actually kind of still learning it myself, but I must give a shout out to C-Rix and Sam from Team Sam. Just don't be like Sam, don't be a troll. Yeah, anyway, this deck is very interesting. So when I first saw them playing it, I got very interested. I liked its playstyle. I liked how the cards worked, and well, let's just jump right into it. And of course, we're going to be playing three of the big bad boy himself, Crimson Nova, the Dark Cubic Lord. And what he does is, he is a level 8 monster, or wait, no. Nope, he's a level 10, my fault. And basically, the only way to get this guy out is you have to have 3 cubic monsters with different names in your hand, or 3 different cubic cards in your hands. It could be spells, traps, monsters, etc. As long as you have 3 different cubic monsters, along with himself, I think, maybe, that probably does work, he is able to special summon himself from your hand, and he cannot be destroyed by any monster effect or any monsters with 3,000 or lesser attack points. So if you're trying to get rid of him, the attack must be over 3,000. So the only way you can really get over him is if you have Silent Magician level 8, Blue Eyes Chaos, Max Dragon, etc., etc., or just a very beefy Utopia with a lot of Utopia weapons equipped to him to have over 3,000 points. So there's that. And then it's also effective when he destroys a monster in battle, he is able to attack again for that turn. Also, the very third unique effect of this creature, which mind blows me every time, during the end phase of your turn, always, you and your opponent both take 3,000 points of damage to the face. So not only are you dealing damage through battle, but you also deal effect damage that affects you and your opponent, hence why this card is the immediate OTK, FTK, heart and soul card of the deck. So then we're moving on to 3 Duza, the Meteor Cubic Vessel. Now, basically what he does is, when he is summoned or special summoned, etc., he is able to, I think it's either dupe or search for another. Actually, let me look it up real quick. Yeah, you can send a cubic card from your deck to the graveyard, and also once per turn during either player's turn, if a monster was sent to the graveyard this turn while you control Duza face up on the field, Duza, you can make this card gain 200 attack points for each monster with different names in your graveyard until the end phase of this turn. So therefore, if you had Nova, Buster Gundeal, and a few other different ones, he gains 200 points for every card with a different name. And also, the main strategy with him is to send Cubic Karma to the graveyard, and what Cubic Karma does, I will explain that later, once we get to him, of course. And then, of course, we're playing 3 of the Vitamin V, Vjam, the Cubic Seed, and he's also one of the other main cards of the deck you always want to see. You always want to see Nova, Duza, and Vjam always first turn, if possible, in your hands. And basically what Vjam does is, he's basically immune to being destroyed in battle, and also he has another crazy effect, I do believe. other than being it can't be destroyed by a battle, during the end phase of the damage step, if he had battled with an opponent's monster, you can place a face-up you can place him in your face-up spell and trap card zone as a continuous spell card, and if you do, you get to place a cubic counter on your opponent's monster, and that counter monster, the monster that has that counter, cannot attack you anymore, and its effects are negated. So not only does he say, hi, you attacked me, I'm going to infect you with one of my counters, but you can't use your effects, nor can you attack me. So not only is he like a Spirit Reaper Marshmallow on steroids, but he just says screw you in every way, shape, and form. Also, if it is happened to be treated as a continuous spell card due to its own effect, during the main phase, you can re-special summon him back from your spell and trap card zone. So not only does he stop your opponent's attack completely, but he also renders it just absolutely useless. Like if you are going up against, say, Destiny heroes, like Phoenix Enforcer, but Phoenix Enforcer could technically deal with it unless people don't know how to do this thing called read, #Farfa. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into, and if you happen to spring upon VJOM, you don't read what it does, it cancels out the effects absolutely, completely, depletes the effect of Phoenix Enforcer, making Phoenix Enforcer useless to the point where you're just like, did this really just happen? And I did not read, because you need to read the daggone cards, you moron! Alright, so anyway, for the rest of our cubic engine for monsters, we're playing one Buster Gundeal, the cubic behemoth, and just like, well, it's the opposite of Crimson Nova. Basically, the only way you can get him to be special summoned out to the field is if you sacrifice 3 cubic monsters on your field with different names, of course, or just 3 different cubic monsters you control to the graveyard, and they cannot be special summoned by other ways. Or it cannot be special summoned by other ways. Anyway, if it's summoned this way, it gains immediately 3,000 attack points, and if this card can make a second attack during each of the battle phases. So therefore, it's basically Crimson Nova on steroids, minus the part where you both lose 3,000 life points at the end of the turn. So he's just a big beat stick if you can manage to get him out on the field by sacking 3 cubics on your field. However, if you happen to activate his other effect, where it is, if it's attacking your opponent's card, or it was attacked, or vice versa, if it attacks whatever, you can sack it to bring 3 cubic monsters from your graveyard to special summon them, and then you can add a cubic card from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So not only do you sack it to bring back 3 cubics from your graveyard, you also get to add another cubic card from your deck to your hand. So that is also very nice. And then we are playing one of the Blade Garuda, the Cubic Beast. Now, that is another wonky card, because you have, in order to summon him, you have to sacrifice 2 cubic monsters on the field with different just 2 cubic monsters. They don't even have to be the same name or whatever. It's just 2 cubic monsters. That's it. And also, what he does is, he gains a total of 2,000 attack points when he's summoned this way. This card can make a second attack each during each battle phase, so therefore, he's basically, again, another Nova Buster Gundeal with 1,000 attack points less, of course, unfortunately. And then, when this card battles an opponent's monster, and you can target up to 3 VJOMs and Cubic Seeds in your graveyard and special summon them. And if you happen to, you can special summon them, then you can add a Buster Gundeal. So basically, when he's sent to the graveyard and he summons the 3 VJOMs, you can get Buster Gundeal from deck to hand, so he searches the Buster Gundeal, which is actually not a bad effect. And then we are playing one of the Vulcan Dragny, the Cubic King. You know, I'm starting to run out of spaces for these cards. And Vulcan Gundeal, I think he is the burner. I need to double check this. Also, since I had extra cores, I got extra cards, so I kind of got a cheat sheet. Crap, my grammar did not want to work. Okay, yeah, so same effect is Garuda. You have to sacrifice 2 cubic monsters on the field in order to summon him, and he gets a total of 1,600 attack points. If this card is special summoned from the hand, you get to inflict 800 points of damage to your opponent, so immediately once he's summoned, he just burns your opponent for 800 points, which is actually not bad. At the end of the battle step, if this card battled, You can target up to 3 V-John the Cubic Seeds once again from graveyard and special summon them. And once you do, and it's a sense of the graveyard, you get to add 1 Endoria Volt, the Cubic Emperor, from your deck to your hand. So he searches the Emperor. However, we don't play Emperor, so that's kind of pointless. And then for our last Cubic monster, we are running, I think it's Gil the Cubic King. He is our other Cubic monster we run for this deck. And he's actually kind of strange too. What he does is, of course, you have to sacrifice 1 Cubic monster in order to summon him and then burn your opponent for 800 points of damage, which is no big deal. Actually, wait, no. It gains 800 attack points. Okay, never mind. I got that backwards. Anyway, if this card is special summoned this way, also inflict 800 points of damage. Never mind. He gains attack points, and then he also deals 800 points of damage. So therefore, not only is he gaining strength, he's hurting you. So him plus the Garuda are actually not bad combos. Not gonna lie. That's like 1600 points of burn damage right there. And anyway, if he's happened to sent to the graveyard after he battles, you get to summon 2 V-John the Cubic Seeds from your graveyard, which I don't understand. The other ones, you can bring back 3 V-John. He only brings back 2. So I feel like you're getting the short end of the stick here by using the Gil here. Anyway, after that is done, you can special summon them and then, of course, add 1 Vulcan Dragon the Cubic King from deck to hand. So he is the searcher for the Vulcan. So, of course, it's just, these are all just really crazy cards that do a lot of crazy bullcrap effects, or have bullcrap effects. But anyway, as I said, this is the rest. That's the last of our cubic we are running for the monster engine in this deck, because we run actually a couple different engines. I decided to make this deck as interesting as possible. Also, as a heads up, it's a 45 card deck, so don't be too surprised if I'm running some stuff that do or do not make sense, which of course they kind of do. Okay, so we are playing 3 Raiden, the multi-dimensional kaiju. And of course, just like all kaijus, you get to sack a monster on your opponent's side of the field to summon him in either attack point or face-up attack or defense position. And he does have a unique effect. I do remember. I just can't remember what it is. You can only control 1 kaiju, yada yada yada. Once per turn, you can remove 2 kaiju counters from anywhere on the field to special summon on Raiden token, yada yada yada. But since we don't play the kaiju token version of this deck, we are only running the 3 kaijus because, once again, I'm going to explain to you why we run the 3 kaijus. And also, we run the 2 Summoner Monk, and that's basically when he is summoned, he gets switched into defense position immediately, and then you can discard 1 spell card from your hand to special summon another level 4 lower monster. So he's another way to search into your Duza to dump the Karma or the Dharma, whichever you prefer. And he just helps get a lot of your good plays off, depending what spell or traps are in your hand, of course, or what spells are in your hand that can use an effect. Because another unique thing with all of the cubic traps and spells, they all do a lot of crazy effects once they hit the graveyard. Because once per turn, and some of them aren't even once per turn, like you can constantly banish the 3 copies that's in your graveyard. You don't even have to wait a turn to use it. You can just constantly use it, which is absolutely ridiculous. And if you can find a way to abuse that effect, it's crazy. Also, another reason why we run the 3 kaijus is because we are running 1 Fallen of Albaz, so we do run an Albaz engine, to where, of course, it's a self-poly. Once it's summoned, normal summon or special, you ditch a card from your hand. Again, you would ditch the Karma to contact with kaiju to fuse into your Starving Venom or your Dragon Stalpia. I probably butchered the heck out of that name. But that's it for the monster engine of the deck, but I'm thinking about maybe taking that to 2 and ditching one of my super polys or all of my super polys, because of course we play super poly and Fallen of Albaz for contact fusion and just to steal our opponent's monsters just because we can. But anyway, that's it for the monsters and the whole deck. We are going to go right into the cubic spells and the other spells we play in this deck. So of course, we are playing 3 of the Cubic Wave. Now, what this card does is, if you control a cubic monster on your field, you can target a monster on your opponent's side of the field, and you can half their attack points to double your own monster's attack points. So say, for instance, you have Crimson Nova, or Duza on the field. you can half the attack points of your opponent's monster to make your monster gain double the attack strength. However, Cubic Wave is not a once per turn activation. You can activate this card multiple times if you have one or more copies of it in your hand. So if you just so happen to have Nova and you have 2 of these bad boys and whatever else in your hand that's a cubic, you would summon the Nova to play the 2 waves, and that's immediate win right there, because 3 doubles to 6, 6 doubles to 12, and then if you have a third, well, you do the math. You just keep doubling the attack points. And also, it does have a graveyard effect. I forget what the graveyard effect is, so let me look it up real quick, because again, I have a cheat sheet, thankfully. Okay, so as I said, and of course, you can banish this card from the graveyard, any number of cubic monsters from your graveyard, and then target a face-up monster your opponent controls equal to the number of targeted face-up monsters your opponent controls equals the number of the monsters you banished. I do not know why they worded it like that. To basically make them gain cubic counters. And of course, cubic counters render them from being able to attack and activate their effects. So not only do you get a bullshit bullcrap effect. Okay, we're excluding that. I never said that. I never said that. You didn't hear me say that. Anyway, oh my gosh. I'm tired. Woo! Okay, we're ignoring that happened. I am not redoing this video. We're past 15 minutes into this video. Anyway, you banish this card to get a bullcrap effect to put cubic counters on your opponent's monsters due to the number of cubic monsters or cubic cards you banished from your graveyard to make them completely useless and just walking, talking, mindless vanilla dolls at this point. Okay, so now we are going to move on and go straight into playing 3 of the other heart and soul card of the deck would be 3 of the cubic karmas. Now, what cubic karma does is, when it is activated, you can target any cubic monster you control except for VJom the cubic seed, of course. Then send any number of VJom the cubic seeds from your hand and or deck to the graveyard, and then that monster gains 800 attack points even if this card leaves the field. Now, during your opponent's turn, if VJom the cubic seed is special summoned by this effect of a cubic monster, send this card to the graveyard. And if you do, have your opponent's life points. And now here comes the really bullcrap part. You can banish this card as many times as you want, within reason. If you have at least the 3, if you have the 3 in your graveyard, you can banish all 3 to search your deck for any cubic cards. So therefore, you would want to search for your Novas, because you want to go into Nova just to get your crazy, crazy big boy later. The Crimson Nova Trinity, the Dark Cubic Lord, which is literally the big boy of the deck, and he's like indestructible. How indestructible, you say? We will get into that real shortly. And now, this card is very interesting. I run 2 of it. I usually see people running 1, but we're running 2 of the cubic Dharmas. Now, what Dharma does is you take no battle damage from attacks involving your cubic monsters. So if you were playing Gul, Garuda, or the other one, I can't remember its name off the top of my head now, or Gundeal, or Buster Gundeal, you would take no battle damage from those cards if they were to be destroyed by something. So therefore, it's protecting you. And you can only use the effects of cubic Dharma once per turn. The first effect is you can send a cubic card from your hand to the graveyard, and if you do, you get to draw a card. So that's a way to ditch the Dooza, or the VJom, or anything else from your hand to get extra draw power. Any of your spell or traps. Also, you would want to ditch the Karma if it's in your hand. Ditch Karma, search for one of the others. So therefore, this deck revolves around a lot of Karma, Wave, and Crimson Nova, the Dark Cubic Lord. Again, he is the Dark Lord of the deck. Also, the second effect states, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Therefore, if it's in your graveyard, target a cubic monster from your graveyard, add it to your hand. So it's basically the dark reoccurring spell where you can bring back any 2 dark monsters with 0 defense points from graveyard to hand. It's basically a bounce back to your hand from graveyard, which is actually really nice. We can't lie about that. Anyway, that's it for the cubic spells we are running for the deck. Honestly, this lineup is actually perfect, except for the Dharma. Like I said, people run it at 1. 3 is too cloggy. 2 is dependable. I like running the 2 just for the extra reassurance. You're getting back your cubic monsters from your graveyard, and you're ditching cards for draw power along if you have Karma. But anyway, the other spell engines we're running are, and shout out to my friend Caleb Nolte for helping me get these 3 cards I've been needing for this deck to make it run extra smoother. We are running 3 of the Foolish Burial Goods. Now, what this card does is it allows you to send any spell or trap from deck to graveyard. So if you don't open with Karmas in your hand, or you're not able to get rid of the Karmas if you don't have Dharma or anything, you would want to use Foolish Burial Goods to target the Karma in your deck, send it from deck to graveyard, banish that to go into your Nova. Again, this is very self-explanatory. And then for our generics, we run 1 Raigeki for Monster Pop, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster for back row destruction, 1 card destruction, the OG. Look at this. This beautiful magic card. OG magic card. Like, I think that's actually one of the first edition card destructions. I could be wrong though, but that is a beautiful, beautiful old magic card for sure. And then we are also running the 1 polymerization because, again, you're going to be using Poly for the summoning of Crimson Nova, the Trinity, the Dark Cubic Lord. And then we are running the 1 Monster Gate. And what this card does is, and it's as actually, again, just for the Karmas, because the main objective of the deck is basically to ditch your Karmas to get your Dark Cubic Lords as quick as you can, so that way you can go for instant kill. And what it does is you basically tribute a monster on your field. So if you summon Duza to ditch Karma, Karma to search for Dark Cubic Lord, etc., etc., you would want to tribute the Dharma or whatever cubic monsters on your field to keep flipping cards on your deck until you have a monster you're able to summon. Everything else you flip gets sent back to the graveyard. I do believe it is. Let me double check that. Yeah. Remaining cards go to graveyard, and the card you flip summoned, or you flipped like another Duza, or the Vijam, you would summon one of those, and then the cards you flip go straight to graveyard. And we play the 1 Reasoning, which I'm debating on taking this out because Monster Gate is the same thing in Extra Foolish Burial Goods, but these are just all sorts of searchers. Reasoning, the seasoning, you basically have your opponent pick a level monster for you to choose from your deck to summon, and they keep drawing, you keep picking up cards from the top of your deck or excavating until you find that monster's distinct level, or you find a monster you're able to summon, like a Duza or the Vijam Vitamin B, and summon them to the field, so therefore every other card gets ditched. So if you run into the Karma, the Waves, or the Dharma, that's another reason why you play the Reasoning, the Monster Gate, and the Foolish Burial Good, which of course is self-explanatory. And then we run 2 of the Pot of Extravagance. Basically, you're ditching 3 or 6 cards to draw 1 or 2 cards. If you banish 3, you draw 1. You banish 6, you draw 2. So, again, that's kind of why I only run the engine I'm running right now with the Albaz and the Poly. Because Extravagance, you're playing 2, so you're taking a chance of ditching a lot of your fusion contacts. So you're hoping to not really open up with this a whole lot. But again, it's draw power, search and draw, search and draw, and search and add. Search and add, search and add, search and add. So you're searching and adding, and you're banishing to draw. So that's the main consistency of the deck right here. And then we are running 2 Dark Ruler No Mores, since I'm cheap and poor and I can't afford Forbidden Droplet. That is my main goal of that. Basically what it does is once you activate it, everything on the field is useless on your opponent's side of the field. They have face down cards, they can't activate face down cards. They got monsters on the field, they can't activate their monsters' effects, and they're basically frozen and stunned for that whole turn until your next turn. It's basically Kale Yuga on steroids as a spell card. Or the old card Frozen Wave, which that magic card has been banned for like the last 2 decades, if I can recall. Correct me if I'm wrong though. Basically it's the long lost sibling, if not the long lost cousin. It got twice removed for various reasons. You stun not only yourself and your opponent. Neither of you can play spell or trap cards for the next to your next standby phase. So he's stunned, you're stunned. So it's kind of like, okay, I did this, but now I can't do anything. He can't do anything. So it's like you're locking you are both locking yourselves out, which is kind of dumb. Okay, so the rest of the poly engine, we're running the one super polymerization again for the contact fusion, and then the one called by the grave, which you banish a card from your opponent's graveyard. So that's it for the spells for the most part. And I'm sorry this video is taking forever. I know there's perfectionists that take only 15-20 minutes with their deck videos. There's which case I'm that one guy that explains everything because I'd like you guys to know what you're getting yourselves into rather than half crapping yourselves. If you can kind of follow where I'm getting at with that, guys, like I try to make sure you guys know what you're doing with these cards before you start jumping in full throttle with them, if that makes any sense at all. If not, I apologize. But honestly, we're only running 3 traps in this deck, believe it or not. So for the traps, you're running 2 Unification of the Dark Cubic Lord. This card is basically the fusion trap of the graveyard. Again, it's polymerization for your cubic monsters only. So he would be, if you have the 3 Crimson Novas in your hand, or one of them's on your field, or they're all on your field, your opponent goes to do something crappy, activate that to fusion summon into your big boy Crimson Nova, the Trinity, the Dark Cubic Lord. And we are going to be getting into him real shortly. And of course, this card also has a very unique graveyard effect. Alright, let us get into this. Anyhow, yes. If a face-up cubic monster on your field is destroyed or leaves the field, you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon a level 4 or lower cubic monster from your hand or deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. And if you do, it cannot be destroyed by battle card effects this turn. So therefore, it is not only protected, but you also get a free search. So you could go into the Duza effect, or you can go into any of your other monsters like V-Jom. Well, V-Jom would probably be the one you'd want to mainly go into. Or if you're feeling really gung-ho and you just want to play the other cubics like Buster Gundeal, Garuda, or Gale, or Garuda? Wait, I already said Garuda. Never mind, I can't remember the other one. And the last trap we are playing is the one Cubic Ascension, which basically only corresponds to V-Jom. What this card basically does is, give me one moment. Okay, so when your opponent declares an attack, you can special summon one V-Jom, the Cubic Seed, from your deck, and if you do, change the attack target to it. And perform damage calculation. If your opponent's life points are at least 2,000 or higher than yours, you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon another V-Jom, the Cubic Seed, from your deck or graveyard or hand, and then if your opponent controlled a monster when this effect was activated, you can special summon up to 2 more V-Jom, the Cubic Seeds, and you can only use the effect of Cubic Ascension once per turn. So therefore, if your opponent's trying to attack you directly, or it's trying to attack a monster period, you can activate the Cubic Seed to summon V-Jom, and then other scenario setups to where you can just keep special summoning more V-Jom, the Cubic Seeds, from your deck. So therefore, if you already have a V-Jom, the Cubic Seed, and your opponent tries to attack it, you can activate that to direct the attack towards the other 2. So that's it for all the monsters and traps and spells. I don't know why I said traps first or second. Anyway, we're going to the extra deck. We're playing 2 of the big boy Crimson Nova Trinity, the Dark Cubic Lord. And why I say he is the big boy, indestructible big boy, he's a 4,500 beat stick, solid. And he's basically the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon of the deck, basically, of the Dark Cubic Lords. If you guys knew, he's basically the long-lost brother to Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, because he also has 3 heads when he fuses, so therefore they're kind of like long-distance cousins. He's like the darker side of Blue Eyes, because he's from another dimension. Get it? Dark side of dimension. Wow, crickets. Anyway, so what makes this card so indestructible is that not only must it be fusion summoned by its own fusion materials, and it cannot be special summoned by other ways, it cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. That goes from monster effects. That goes by spell and trap card effects. So the only way you can get rid of this card is if you can get over its attack points, or your opponent just so well happens to have a kaiju. So that's the only one of two ways. Those are the only two ways you can really get rid of this card, is if you have a kaiju or if you can get over the attack points. If you can't get over the attack, you're kind of screwed. Literally, you are just straight up screwed. Also, when this card declares an attack, your opponent immediately halves their life points. Oh, no, no, no. You heard this right. As soon as it attacks, your opponent is forced to cut their life points in half. So say, for instance, if your opponent had, like, I'm just over exaggerating this, 30,000 life points, you could deduct their 30,000 back to 15,000 life points. And this is also, might I add, this is not a once per turn thing. This is a continuous effect. So also, just like Crimson Nova, the Dark Cubic Lord, Trinity can attack you twice. So not only is he attacking you twice like Nova, but he is also having your life points even further. So that 15,000 dwindles down to 7,500. So next turn, your life points will be dwindled down to 3,450. Or no, wait, not 3,450. Shoot, my math did not want to work. 3,750. That's it. 3,750, and then 3,750, half of that. You do the math. It's constantly deducting life points, which is absolutely bullcrap, honestly. Also, it has one other effect apparently I did not know about. When this card destroys a monster without activates this effect, you can make a second attack on the battle phase. If you take effect damage, also, if you just so happen to take effect damage, so if your opponent's playing like a burn deck or like a nurse burn deck, you would be inflicting 3,000 points of damage back to them as well. Oh, you're gonna burn me for burn damage? Oh, by the way, why not Merry Christmas, Hallelujah, Happy Hanukkah to you, Happy Halloween, or whatever, and inflict the damage right back to them. So this card is just a very big bully and very annoying and very deadly to get over. Again, or also, oh wait, no, it couldn't be a target for Albaz or Super Poly. It's Super Poly immune, it is Albaz immune, and it is every other card immune except to Kaijus and something that's stronger than 4,500. If you cannot get over this card, you might as well just sweep your board and just say good game at that point. Alright, so we're playing one Starving Venom Dragon. That's self-explanatory. You can fuse this card with a dark monster on your field, your opponent's side of the field, or just dark monsters, 2 dark monsters. And when special summon, it can target another special summon monster on your opponent's field. It gains the attack points of that monster, and it gains that effect for that turn. Also, if this card is just so happenly destroyed, it can destroy every other special summon monster on your opponent's side of the field, which is absolutely bullcrap. And we are playing 3 of the Predaplant Dragon Stapelia. What this card does is, again, just like Starving Venom, it takes 2 dark monsters to make it. Again, that explains the Super Poly and the Fallen Albaz contact. You are able to, once per turn during your opponent's turn or your turn, and it's a quick effect, you can implant 1 Predaplant counter on your opponent's monster, and your opponent's monster cannot activate card effects, so it stops monster effects, which is actually really nice. And then we're playing 2 of the Albion, and the second effect is the Graveyard effect is like null and void. So basically, when he is fusion summoned using a light and a light monster and a fallen Albaz, he is allowed to contact again to fusion a monster from your graveyard or field or a hand to create another monster. So you would want to fuse him with Albaz to make this guy to Titaniclad, the Ash Dragon. And of course, again, when he is fusion summoned, you are able to immediately gain attack points based on the level of the 2 monsters. So if you fuse Albion with Albaz, that's a 1,200 point boost from 25 to 37. Again, the second effect is null and void because we're not using the second effects. And then we're playing the 1 Brygran, the Glory Dragon. Again, it takes a level 8 monster and Fallen of Albaz. So you can either fuse Titaniclad or Albion to make the Brygran the Glory Dragon, which is kind of irrelevant. Again, the second effect is irrelevant. Now, the first effect, since this card is rarely ever used by people, I'm just going to straight up read it off to you guys. Your opponent cannot target affect monsters you control as long as you control with monsters with effects. Okay, if you control monsters with monster effects during the end phase. Oh wait, never mind. Cannot be destroyed by battle, and while you control a fusion summon monster. Okay, while you control a fusion summon your monster, your other monsters are protected. And of course, we're running the one Nightmare Cerebus. It's a link to, and when it's link summoned, you're able to ditch a card from your hand to destroy a card on your opponent's side of the field. So therefore, you're destroying a monster for free. And we're playing one Wee Witch's Apprentice. Link 2 takes 2 dark monsters. As long as it's on the field, dark monsters gain 500 attack and 400 defense, while our light monsters lose 400 attack and 300 defense. I heard a weird noise. Anyway, we play the one Underclock Taker. Now, he would come in handy, I would say, because if memory serves me right, let me reread what he does, because I'm having a blown moment. Once per turn, you can target one face-up monster this card points to, and one face-up monster your opponent controls. The opponent's monster loses attack points equal to the attack of a target. Okay, so therefore, if Underclock Taker is pointing to Trinity, your opponent's monster is losing 4,500. There's no ins or outs with that. They are absolutely going to lose without question. If you can get him out on the field the first turn, you're Gucci. You get him out on the field, you're absolutely guaranteed the win for sure. That's an instant OTK FTK right there. And then for the last card we are playing is the one Barricade Borg Blocker. Also linked to, if this card is link summoned, you can discard a card during the end phase. If this turn, add one continuous or field spell from your graveyard to your hand. You can only use the effective Barricade Blocker once per turn. Also, face-up spell cards you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's counterpart. So therefore, if he is summoned, you ditch a card to bring back one of your cubic spell or traps from your graveyard back to your hand. But since everything is getting banished, I really don't see the point in it. But if you control any of your cubic cards on the field, it would be protected. So that's it for the extra deck. I think this is pretty much solid for the most part, and since we run the 2 extravagances, the majority of this fusion deck is not even going to be used. So, and of course, that's why we run the 3 Dragastalpia, so that way we can stop monster effects from popping off, and in case extravagance just happens to hit them, and the 2 Trinity, again, just in case. It's not a bad lineup so far. Ugh. Okay, we're almost done, guys. Now it's time for the side deck. And then, actually, there's an old card you guys are probably not going to be expecting to see, and you're not going to know what it does, literally. And, of course, we run the one Endoria Doom Vault the Cubic Lord. Basically, he's the same thing as Buster Gun Deal. You tribute 3 cubic monsters on your field to summon him to get 2,400 attack points. And, what his other effect is... Hang on, let me find it. Yeah. This card cannot be summoned by other ways, yada yada yada. If summoned this way, this card gains 2,400 attack points. If this card is special summoned from the hand, inflict 800 points of damage, so he's also one of the main burn cards of the deck. If this card is... Man, this is so small, I can't really read it. Okay, sent to the graveyard, your opponent's card by battle. Okay, so if it's sent to the graveyard by battle, your opponent destroys it. You're able to bring back 3 of your V-Joms from your graveyard back to the field, and then you can search 1 cubic card from your deck or graveyard and add it to your hand. So he is a searcher and an adder if he happens to get destroyed, and he brings back 3 of your V-Jom, the cubic seeds, which is actually not bad when you think about it. So, yeah, that's it for him. And then we run the one Armageddon Knight. That card is very self-explanatory. When it's normal summon, you get to ditch a monster from your deck to your graveyard. Then we're playing 2 Allure of Darkness. You draw 2, and you must banish a dark monster from hand. If you don't, you ditch your entire hand and send it straight to graveyard. And of course, the 1 Book of Moon to stop an attack and flip the monster face down. 1 Gold Sarcophagus. Again, you search for a card, you banish it, and wait for 2 turns to get it back. 1 Monster Reborn, just to get back cards from the graveyard or steal something. 1 Mind Control to steal a monster on your opponent's side of the field. The 1 Reoccurring Nightmare to bring back the Crimson Novas in case you need to get them back at some point. And then 1 Pot of Avarice if we're feeling extra generous toward ourselves and we decide to want to bring back the Crimson Novas and whatever other monsters are there. And then we're playing 2 more Super Polys just because, and if we decide to want to switch things up, just add those in to be more of a troll. And then for the trap cards, now I want to make this very clear. For those of you, and I'm going to be very blunt when I say this, if you don't like what I have to say, you might as well unsubscribe and go elsewhere. If you didn't watch the GX area because you couldn't appreciate its sense of humor and its humor and seriousness all at the same time, y'all might as well go over to Team Samurai X and Team APS, because they'll tell you straight up you're a moron because you're not an OG if you didn't watch GX. You guys are just useless pieces of crap. So we are running 3 Curse Seal of the Forbidden Spell. It's a counter trap card. Now, what this trap card does is, and pay close attention, because if you don't, again, just click on the right side, click on the right top side, and just X out of this video, because if you don't comprehend this, you are a literal moron. Anywho, Curse Seal of the Forbidden Spell, as the name states, you can only activate this trap card when your opponent activates another spell from their hand, of course, or on the field. And by doing so, it's a magic jammer. So by ditching another spell card from your hand, like if you have Karma or Dharma, of course you would want to ditch the Karma if you have it, or any other spell, it doesn't really matter. You ditch a spell card to stop the activation of said spell. So say, for instance, if your opponent is playing Destiny, or just playing Heroes, or Blue Eyes, Chaos Max, or just Blue Eyes Fusion, or any sort of heavy fusion deck or heavy synchro deck that revolves around one certain spell card, what this card implies is that was only the one effect. It's a magic jammer, but there is a catch. What Curse Seal of the Forbidden Spell actually does is, when you discard a spell and you stop the activation of a spell card, like say Lightning Storm, your opponent cannot, I say, cannot activate any other spells of that same name from deck for the remainder of the entire duel. So if your opponent is playing 3 Lightning Storm or 3 Forbidden Droplets, your opponent can no longer play the Droplets or the Lightning Storm, so that card is absolutely useless. Hence the name Forbidden Spell. Because if you, for those of you that did see GX, you absolutely know where I'm going with this. If you saw where Bastion pulled this same maneuver on Jaden, because Jaden literally relied on his fusion monsters to win the duels for him, he locked him out from fusion summoning to the point where he had to put on his big brain thinking cap to win the duel without fusion summoning. So therefore, this card I'm dying. It just stuns your opponent for the entire duel from using spell cards of that name anymore. So 3 Lightning Storms, no. Forbidden Droplets, no. Harpy's Feather Duster, that's irrelevant. Raigeki, also irrelevant. Polymerization, no fusion for you. We're going to play Branded Fusion. Oh, you want to play that Forbidden Spell? I lock you out of searching cards from your deck to fusion summon with. Oh, we're going to play drop the Branded Theater. Oh no, we'll play that. You can't use a field spell to fusion summon with. Super Poly, oh no, we can't use that because this counters this. I think this actually is the only trap card that can counter Super Poly. I may be mistaken on that ruling. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But, yes, this is a very overpowered trap. Generic trap, might I add. And you don't ever see it. And everybody else is playing all these broken, spell-based decks. If you're going up against Sky Strikers, this... Oh my gosh. Imagine Sky Striker players going up against this trap. They would not be happy. Or say, going up against Dinos and they play Fossil Dig. Nope. They want to play Shaddoll Fusion. Nope. They want to play anything spell-related that is multiple copies. No, no, and by the way, no. Go straight to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Actually, wait, no, I said that backwards. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200, go straight to jail. That is relevant because it's 3 sentences and it's 3 cards. So, there we go. But anyway, that's it for the deck video, guys. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts on the video. Was it good? Was it not good? I already know 45 minutes is way too long for a deck video, but you guys know I go way, way, way in depth with all the cards that I talk about in the deck and so forth. But yeah, in my perspective, this deck is actually very powerful and very well built. If I were to throw in a couple more Albaz cards, or just Albaz in general, this deck could actually be extremely powerful and extremely dangerous to deal with, especially with the kaijus for the contact fusion. That's the only reason why you would be running that specific card, just for the fusions and just to get annoying cards. Like your opponent has Queritus and Masquerade, you're going up against Despia. You want to get rid of that as quick as possible to go into your Starby. Excuse me. Oh wait, no, Queritus is light, so that would be irrelevant. Yeah, if you have Fallen of Albaz in your hand, you want to use him to stop the Queritus. You fuse in with the Queritus for the Albion. The Albion would fuse with the Albaz to go into Titaniclad, but that's 1,200 points right there because Masquerade takes away 600 points per card activation you use. And if your opponent plays Mirror Jade, you can contact that out for Starving Venom. If your opponent's playing with Lebellion or any of the other big dragons or the big Despia cards of their decks, you could basically stun them and fuse them together to make your Dracostalpia or your Starving Venom. And then if you're able to, if you got Poly or the Unification, go into Big Boy Trinity. I'll tell you what, this card is actually really pretty as a secret rare. I've looked up the gold secret rare version. It's not as good as this. I'm not gonna lie. And the ultra rare is okay, but the secret is better. And also this deck is super budget and super cheap. Like, I know you could probably get the whole deck core at least for maybe 50 to 60 bucks, but if you guys want to push a little bit and put in maybe a few extra dollars to where you could probably get a $100 budget deck of this, honestly, that's probably as cheap as it's going to get. It's not that expensive, it's not that pricey, and all of the cards are really budget based, except for the V-Joms, because I know the secrets of him are like $5 a piece, and if you go for like the ultra or the secret rares of the Foolish Burial Goods, it's like $3 for an ultra rare and $4 for the secret rare reprint, which is what those three were. You saw it's not the $10 one, which I would maybe want to get at one point, but it's kind of irrelevant because the reprint is honestly just as good in my opinion. But anyway, guys, thank you guys for watching this. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts on the deck. Do you think it's good? Do you think it's not good? Is there anything I should change or tweak out? Because again, like I said, I'm still learning the deck myself, and I did take inspiration from Sirius and Sam for this deck, and I just liked how they played it. I liked how the deck plays. I love how it's like very fast-paced and quick, especially if you open with any of the cards I had been naming throughout the video. Again, you want to open with Karma. You want to open with Foolish Burial Goods. You want to open with multiple Cubics in your hand. You want to open with a Dooza or Foolish Burial Goods, etc., etc. And Crimson Nova, the Dark Cubic Lord. But anyway, thank you guys for watching this, and like I said, let me know your thoughts, and be sure to smash that like button and subscribe. And if you have any friends that are interested in a cubic deck or want to see an anime-based deck that is from Igami, the man himself, which was actually not a bad villain who turned good, not gonna lie. Yeah, share this video around. Help get my name out there. I'm trying, guys, and I'm trying to make shorter videos, but again, I go very in-depth with every card possible, so you guys know what they do, how they interact with each other, how you can make this deck better. And for the most part, I like the fact I threw in the Albaz engine, and I just said we're going to be stopping this video, but you guys know me, I like to rant. But yeah, the Albaz engine is definitely good, especially if you run it with the Kaijus, especially Raiden, because Raiden is dark, and all the contacts are pretty much dark monsters, or monsters over 2,500 points, or level 8 or higher, excuse me. But yeah, that's it for the video. Okay, I'm serious this time. We're going to end things here, and again, smash that like button. Be sure to leave a comment in the comment section, and feel free to share this video along with some other buddies of yours that play the deck or would want to be interested in playing a quick OTK based deck that's very trolly, very strong, very good. And just remember, hashtag don't be like Sam. Don't be a troll. Don't be a over-abusive. Abuse. Okay, no, I don't know where I'm going with that. Like, bah! I can't think of a proper insult. Crap. My brain don't want to work right now. My brain does not want to form properly. Anyway, adios, and take care, and hope you guys are having an epic weekend so far. This is your boy, Ninja Lionheart, signing out to you. Adios!